So do you want to just get right into it?
Yeah, let's talk about The Matrix.
Okay, then we are going to go right into it. We both watched this movie last night. We have mixed. We have mixed opinions on this movie. I suspect to do with our age differences. Probably have something to do with that. Me being older and being around for the original Matrix. You being younger and being born literally the year the original Matrix came out.
Yeah.
The issue with that, I think, is like, even if you you're somebody who's younger, right, and you love that movie.
I don't love it. I said it's good how it was. Because like I thought it was good. I wouldn't say I 100% like it. I'm like 50-50 on it.
On the first one.
Oh no, I'm
talking about I'm saying even if you were around, even if you loved the first movie, not being around, not being old enough to really understand it as it came out, I think would color your opinion. So even if you think it's a good movie, you wouldn't really be able to really process the cultural impact that movie had on America or on the world, really.
Well, it was talking about simulation theory, and you know how much I love that theory.
Yep. And so, but you had to be, it's one of those had to be there things, I believe. There's cough number. We should keep a cough counter. That would have been hilarious.
I know, like that. You do like a drinking game. How many times Miracle coughs, you take a shot.
And everybody gets drunk, and everybody gets wasted.
You should watch this episode during like your Christmas party.
Guys, if you want, please, every time you hear a cough, take a drink. No, don't do that. Don't do that. You will die. You will die. There you have it. So
there's like a total of 3 right there.
Okay, all right. So this movie has a 68% tomato meter from the critics and a 68% audience score. The critic score is lower than I thought it would be. The audience score is higher than I thought it would be. They're dead even.
Yeah.
So first, I want to know firsthand, what is your general opinion of this movie?
I don't like the modern references. That made me cringe. And
like
then,
what?
Like when he was talking about Trinity, when she doesn't know who she is, her name is Tiffany, and he's like, that's a MILF.
Oh.
I didn't like that. And then when they're jabbing at Warner Brothers, they're like, they're trying to make us do a sequel.
That was where I almost checked out, was the line where the movie is so self-referential and so meta that I couldn't, like... What's weird is I feel bad almost because Spider-Man is very self-referential, but it works completely. I don't think it works in this movie.
No.
Mainly because Spider-Man being self-referential still fits into the general overall tone of a Spider-Man movie. This movie had way too much humor. Way too much humor.
It shouldn't have humor. Like,
not that it shouldn't have humor, but it should be peppered in throughout the film. It shouldn't be all camp, all in jokes, and all references back to the original material. It doesn't fit in tune with the actual franchise.
I don't know. Like, for me... that's what made me cringe. And then when he asked, hey, Jude, are you alone? And he's like, that's a really sexy question. Yeah. I was like really confused by that.
You didn't get it. I had to explain that to her.
I didn't understand it. I was like, I don't understand this because I don't understand flirting culture.
That is a weird thing to latch on to, but you know, what can you do? So what did work for you in the movie?
Well, I really liked the message at the end by Agent Smith where he said people want to be led.
That was the architect. I'm looking back to that was the analyst. I was like I'm referencing the original. That was Neil Patrick Harris's character.
Yeah. Well, it's because I love Neil.
Yep.
And like I prefer him as like a witty villain.
Yep.
This is what he was. He was a witty villain, and I liked it.
I would say that the only things for me that really worked in this movie was I did, as much as I would have loved and preferred Hugo Weaving to come back as Agent Smith, because it's his tone of voice, it's the cadence in the way he talks, is so important to that character, because when he has the sunglasses on and they're fighting, he could really be anyone.
Yeah.
But it's that voice that really gets you. But this new actor, Jonathan Groff, he chewed the scenery very well. I think he did a really good job playing his own version of that character, even if it's not really the Smith we know and remember.
Yeah.
I did like Neil Patrick Harris as the analyst. He, again, chewing the scenery, very, very over the top. I liked it. and I enjoyed Bugs, played by Jessica Henwick. I love Jessica Henwick. I loved her in Iron Fist. I think she has a lot of charisma. I think she has a lot of talent. I hate that haircut. I hate the blue hair, but it fits in line with that franchise, right? Especially if it is like, if we're talking like the old Matrix, which is like noir in a way. There's no noir elements to this movie almost at all. But to me, cough. The three elements that I like the most were the least connected to the old franchise. Meaning, I felt like Keanu Reeves gave an okay performance, but it didn't really feel like. Maybe it's because I think he's such a good guy. You're so colored by opinion that like even if he didn't like this script, he's still gonna give it his all. But I don't think the material was there. I didn't like I didn't like Carrie-Anne Moss's portrayal. It felt like she was sleepwalking through the role to me, but she also wasn't given really much to do until the end. And I didn't really like the fact that this became essentially just a continuation of their love story. I felt like there's a million ways you could go if you want to try and revive this franchise. I would have maybe focused, oddly enough, on newer characters.
Bugs,
maybe Bugs, or flesh out some of those other characters better and have them not just play background fodder.
Yeah. What's his name? Bugs is like tech guy.
Seek.
I really liked this character.
He had a good stage presence. He had I think one of the things that maybe it's just me and it's interesting because I'm partially deaf, but really, really good. People with unique voices always catch me, right?
Yeah.
Tony Todd in The Candyman, or Roger Jackson, who plays the voice from Ghostface. So really, really distinct voices always do it for me. And Jessica Henwick has a very it's not soft, but she has a lot of charisma comes through the way she delivers her lines, almost in a way. And this is probably just me. This is a way with it. Like the level of charisma that comes through with her line delivery doesn't always match up what I see on screen. And I think she's a fantastic actress. But like if she didn't have that accent, if she didn't deliver her lines in that way, I don't think she gets the roles that she gets. That could just be me. That's just me. Maybe your own experience in movies talking, right? But I loved her in this movie. I wanted more from Priyanka Chopra as Sati.
I was still disturbed by your comment last night.
Yeah. we'll leave that off air, but I love her in general. I loved Quantico. At least I loved the first two seasons of Quantico.
This is the one complaint. Like, I love her character in it, but I hate her hairstyle. I'm gonna be nitpicky about that. Stop doing the buns. You're over 40/50. Stop doing it.
No, she can do it, man.
She can do it, but like other people in general, I just hate it when older people do it.
Didn't really care for Jada Pinkett Smith as Niobe. All the other appearances felt ham-fisted to me. I just like. I think also I'm handicapping myself here because I went into this not wanting to like. As awful as it sounds, like I didn't have much faith that this was going to be a very good continuation. 18 years later, that first movie is such a lightning in a bottle type moment, right? It was the right time in our culture. It was a unique story that was both deep but not. It was not self-referential in the same way. Like, okay, that's not the word I'm looking for. It was deep, but it was not. Pretentious. It asked questions, but it didn't. The Matrix 2 and 3, which I've only seen once, all I remember thinking, what's that saying? It's like, people won't remember what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel. All I remember from the Matrix 2 and 3 was the dialogue made me feel like the writing was extremely pretentious. Okay, the first one had elements of that, but told within a story that was so well crafted that it didn't bother me.
So you kind of identify with one of the characters. Like, he was a side character when they said the Matrix was a game. The Irish guy, where he's like, I don't like it when you have to like overanalyze and highlight everything.
And we didn't even go into that. Like the fact that they made the Matrix a video game was awful.
Yeah.
What you mentioned in like when
the
we were
Warner Brothers.
They reference Warner Brothers. It's so meta. That I mean, we're underplaying how meta this movie was. The whole movie is peppered with flashback scenes to previous Matrix movies,
Yeah.
clips, references that you're only going to really get if you understand if you've seen the movies and you really love the movies. But whereas Spider-Man No Way Home did this within the same tone of past Spider-Man movies, this one was way too humorous, way too self-referential, and just way too goofy, in my opinion, to really call it a good Matrix movie. I do understand that when Lana Wachowski wrote this movie, she was her parents had passed within like weeks of each other, and I think she lost either a close friend, close friend, all in that same time span. And she said that her desire to make this movie, or to go back to make this fourth Matrix movie, was she wanted to surround herself with familiar characters that she felt a connection to. I can understand that.
Yeah.
I think that can be very helpful, or very soothing to someone's soul, maybe when they're going through some type of trauma. But it doesn't necessarily, unfortunately, equate to a good movie. And I know that what they're trying to do is, this Matrix movie was essentially a continuation of Neo and Trinity's love story, but it just didn't, like, the moment we find out that they're both kind of the one, I'm like, two the ones, huh? Like, it's so over the top.
1 + 1 = 1, right?
Yeah. I will say that the analyst's speech at the end was fantastic.
Yeah, because he said people want to be led.
Yep.
They don't want freedom.
Whereas, I mean, they make references that in the original, in the original Morpheus, Lawrence Fishburne's Morpheus, says that, they're so inured by the system, that they'll fight to stay where they are. I'm paraphrasing. But in this one, I mean, there's a meme that came out like, what was it, like right before, like a couple months before this movie came out, and it's like, basically talking about, like, you think that I don't want to be in the Matrix right now? It's like, frost my it's like, take me back to 1999, frost my tips and plug me in, because the real world right now is so awful that they would love to be in a Matrix. I didn't like the color palette. I hated it. Was not the Matrix. The lack of green hue while in the Matrix. I hated when you get those typical, and I mean typical, bluish yellow hues in the Matrix. It just felt like every other cookie cutter blockbuster movie attempt that comes out. The way they bastardized bullet time and used it which I thought could have been clever, but again, way too self-referential.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, I just didn't like it. Another thing that I really hated, costume designs. What's up with those sunglasses?
Oh, yeah. Miracle despised those sunglasses.
I wanted to destroy them. Like, I wanted to go into the screen and, like, destroy them. Like, just do my own Matrix and go, like, no! Destroy it.
I mean, it's possible that, like, if we were looking at this movie through the lens of, like, a much darker color palette, and there's rain everywhere, and it really fits that late 90s film noir theme, that those glasses work. But in a bright, shiny, modern day, high tech version, by like digital version, which is weird to say because the film's based on code, but like the other film feels very analog to me because of the time it was created, even though they're talking about despite what they're talking about being very technological and coded. Maybe those sunglasses work if we're talking about like a different tone to the actual look of the movie.
No, like the sunglasses are confused what they want to be. They want to be circle lenses or what our glasses designs are. Like, it can't choose. It's like we have to be both.
You can't be both. Well, maybe they're going through their own transformation.
Well, like in this movie, they made fun of binary a lot.
Yep, there was a lot of. I think when I heard crypto fascism, I checked out, dude. I checked out. I'm like, okay, I get what they were doing there. It's not like that was like a huge story element. It was just a joke thrown in there.
Yeah.
Same with like trans politics, all that stuff. That's fine. Like it's not like those were huge elements of the movie. In fact, I would say that this movie was, a lot of people were worried that this movie was going to end up being super woke.
Yeah.
I don't really think it was. I just think it was a bad movie.
It wasn't super woke, other than like the first sequence where they were talking about it as a video game. I was so done with it. And then like Morpheus, what's up? Like, he only showed up for like a few scenes.
I feel bad for that actor because that guy seems like more than serviceable, a talented actor.
Yeah.
And he actually did a fairly decent rendition of his voice, the way he delivered his lines. But Lawrence Fishburne is iconic. You just can't, like, I almost would have rather they just didn't use, like, maybe they could have found a way to, like, have Neo experience those scenes with the old Morpheus again.
Yeah.
Like through like you saw scenes where like Morpheus is projected onto the back of a theater, or he's on a television screen. Maybe have Neo interact with that Morpheus, but not the Morpheus that's talking to Neo from the 1999 movie. Talk to him as if he's experiencing it through the 2021 Neo.
Yeah, the 2021 Neo, how he did it, because like he hacked into the phone saying it was like one of his coworkers.
Yep.
And like he came out of the toilet stall and he made a quote. He was like, it was it at last.
When he said blah blah blah, when he was like covering on some of Morpheus's lines from the original, he says blah when he's giving the speech to Neo about the red pill, blue pill.
Yeah.
I hated it.
It was kind of rushed, and like it felt like it was just like, here you go, nostalgia. Member berries. There you go.
And winking at the camera for a film that doesn't need to be winked, where the camera does not need to be winked at. Like, I really don't. I think they do a disservice to this film by not taking it more seriously. I mean, maybe this is what, as that, like I said, as that with that director. You know, she's going through something traumatic in her life. If this is the story she wanted to tell, I more than support her decision to do that. Or like, you can't always, you know, not every story is going to come out perfectly. But I think that even attempting to make a Matrix movie 18 years after something as iconic and culturally significant as the first one was always an uphill battle. And there were very few versions. Oddly enough, there's I'm gonna tangent here for a minute.
Yeah.
There's a television show called Person of Interest.
Yes,
and
I love that show.
And it's two artificial in the final seasons. There's two artificial intelligence battling one another, and they've got a version of the evil artificial intelligence, like an offshoot of it, trapped in a Faraday cage, and they put their strips of their code of their own machine into that Faraday cage, and basically they run simulations to find a version where they can beat this evil artificial intelligence. And there's billions of combinations where they fail and none where they do, you know, and finally they find one version of this where they could finally succeed. I think that's honestly what this movie was. I think there was a billion ways that this movie could fail, and very, very few where this story works 18 years later.
You just referenced Civil War. You remember Doctor Strange, where he was like trying to find the outcome where they went?
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's exactly what this is. There's very few ways this works. So I will applaud them for trying. I think that Keanu is such a likable guy that I'm going to like him either way. I will. He shaved his head. I don't know if that was a bald cap. It couldn't have been a bald cap. It was shaved, but not totally shaved. His hair.
Yeah.
So. Maybe it was just really good bald cap makeup, and I just wasn't paying close enough attention.
Maybe.
But he didn't look super old in those sequences.
He just looked like a cancer patient that's going through chemo.
In the sequence, did you see Bill and Ted, the new? Okay, he looked so old when he finally shaved, but kept the long hair.
Yeah.
But when he shaved and had short hair, he looked young. He didn't look old.
Yeah.
When he's got the beard and the long hair, he looks young. He's the opposite of most people, where beards make them look older.
Yeah, you're one of those people.
Yes, Miracle always tells me my beard makes me look much older than I am. But Keanu, he has the fountain of youth in his beard and hair. Maybe it's because the hairstyle is like very 90s. I do think that Bugs, I do want to give props to Jessica Henwick and to Jonathan Groff and to Neil Patrick Harris. I do think that they were the best part of this movie. I don't know. The rest of the characters, I feel like they were done a disservice by basically just being background fodder. They weren't really given...
Yeah, who was the guy with like the white hair and beard?
I don't know.
I asked you who's that, and you didn't even answer me, and I was like, oh.
I don't know. I don't know which one it was. So yeah, I just... It wasn't for me. You know, I applaud the attempt. I do get frustrated when they do this stuff with older, with bringing back these old franchises. But the difference is, I don't feel like this was a soulless cash grab. I think she legitimately tried to continue the story, and I just don't think it worked.
It didn't work. And there was a character, I was so confused. The girl with like the braids.
Yeah.
Like, she was like, I'm not here for you, I'm here for her. And then after that, they never continued that storyline.
Yeah, like I said, I had a hard time paying attention, man. It was I don't know if it was because I had like a negative opinion from the start, and I felt like it was like confirmation bias in a way.
Yeah.
That's like cough 9 and 10.
Yeah,
but
sorry.
you know, maybe I'll watch it a second time and like it a little bit more.
I don't think it has rewatch value.
I don't think it does either. But yeah, so I will applaud the attempt, especially if she actually if Lana, if this was actually what she wanted, if this is the story she wanted to tell. I didn't like it, but more power to them if they actually did.
Well, Hollywood is running out of ideas. They can't think of other things to talk about, especially like looking at old properties. For example, Batman, The Matrix.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.